After decades of putting everyone else first, this is your time to shine. Welcome to the Sass and Soul podcast, where brilliant women just like you are finally putting themselves at the top of their to-do list. You are ready to reawaken your dormant dreams, take center stage, and unleash your full creative voice. I'm Cindy Kennedy, a seasoned life and leadership coach, global speaker, yogi, and the founder of the Center for Sass and Soul. I'm here to accompany you on your quest to live a wildly purposeful and pleasurable life. After all, success is personal. It's not about following a script, but answering the calling of your soul. So get ready to join me and my global friends as we explore how to reclaim our sass and lead from our soul. Hello, sassy, soulful ones. Welcome back to the podcast. If you tuned in to the previous episode, we explored you being your own living proof that change is possible. It's not just in a book you get off the shelf. It's the book you hold within your heart of the life you've lived thus far, which will help you create your next chapter for how you're going to live it out. Today, I promised that I was going to go a little bit deeper into some of my own big radical shifts that, yes, I realized I too have made some very powerful transformations. And this is more to inspire you because my blueprint and understanding some of my key points that supported me in making these big leaps are unique to me. These may resonate for you. They may really show up in your own blueprint as well, but they could also be slightly different. And this is not an all-inclusive list. Even with my own reflection, I could find even more. But there's just certain things that in hindsight, I can see that I did, that even in the moment I was doing it, I didn't necessarily know that these were the certain steps that really started opening up my own healing, my own ability to attract love into my life, right? So I want to go through some of those today. So like I mentioned, one of the big shifts for me was going from suddenly being in a chronic health situation for nearly 12 years to none, like waking up, moving around, the whole world pain-free, something that I had for many years of my life and then suddenly didn't for a very large chunk of my life. And looking back, a couple of the things that really hit home for me was when I finally let myself really feel the feels. Meaning, how many times do you say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, right? Even if something is nagging at you, even if something feels hurtful or painful, right? Even if it's something you're excited about having a new experience in your life, but there's a part of you that might secretly wonder if it's going to actually happen. There's still a lot of pain. We need to allow ourselves to feel all the feels. And if you're stepping into good girl mode, a good girl doesn't let herself do that. A good girl isn't usually very honest with herself. When I let myself really feel all of my fears and express it and cry it out, yell it out, looking back, that was where a huge shift started to happen. All right? Because when we hold fear, fear does not allow for healing. Fear does not allow for us to tap into resources, both internally or externally around us. So trusting and tuning into emotions is crucial. Whether you're choosing something really exciting to leap into, or you're trying to get away from something you no longer want. Okay, feeling the feels, all of them, critical. The other thing is I sought out support. Again, at the time I was doing it because I was like grasping on. But looking back, all of the different healers and people who came into my life, they were all part of that healing process. And you need to be surprised. Allow yourself to be surprised at who comes in. You may end up being surrounded by people who you never would have expected you would have either spent time with or learned from, but it expanded you more than you ever thought. When I was on my health journey, I initially started with the doctors, the medical world, right? Physios, did the traditional, but that only got me so far. I needed to open myself up. And suddenly I'm in a very new world, right? Of having leeches on my body, of having like being half robed and working on my myofascia release, right? From left side of the body to the right side of the body, top of the body to the lower body, right? I have tried so many things, getting into Reiki and craniosacral therapy, right? You name it. I ended up venturing in a completely new world. And it tapped into not only more health, but greater understanding and curiosity about this magical part of the world. So seeking support and being open to who shows up for that is a crucial part for me of my own blueprint for success. The next part was redefining my identity. What I started noticing is that I hated when a friends would call me and they're like, hey, Cindy, can you come and do something with me? Let's go kayaking. And I'd be like, oh, I can't. My shoulder's out or my back's gone out again, right? And I started hearing them just say, oh, gosh, Cindy, you're so often sick, right? Oh, you're injured again. And I started feeling like I was almost being classified as the sick girl. And I hated that. That was so painful in my heart. I'm like, no, I've got to stop, one, seeing myself as being the sick or chronic pain or injured girl. I have to redefine who I am. And I also needed to educate others of how to talk to me. So they didn't even, without meaning to, didn't use language that anchored me back into the sick girl persona, right? So for me, identity is really important to start to embrace. And if I wasn't able at the time to choose a full, like I am healthy and like vicarious and I'm vibrant, right? I've got no pain at all. I'm pain-free. If that was too much for me to access at that time, I noticed that I was just starting to go, okay, you know what? I am on this health path. So I started to make little identity shifts that, okay, I'm a little bit healthier than I was. And that allowed me to start stepping away from the sick girl identity, but also educating my friends at how much when they say certain words, it didn't help me. And those are tough conversations, but they were there for it because they really wanted to support me. What went along with that was me finally starting to celebrate the small wins. I was quite all or nothing girl, right? I want to go big. I don't want to go small. I want to do it all and do it great, or what's the point? I had to learn to celebrate the smallest of smallest wins. Right? One day getting up out of bed and maybe the pain's a little bit less. Awesome. Right? I could actually walk to the base of a mountain. Didn't walk up it, but I walked to the base of a mountain. Awesome. Right? I could take off my brace. Awesome. And it felt okay. Like little by little, I learned to rewire my brain around the small wins and not looking so far advanced when that felt too far away, right? So small wins are really important. And also sometimes failing, meaning maybe putting myself back into pain. But the reason I did it was because I started to trust myself again. So one day I noticed I was living in Vancouver and it was autumn and there was so many leaves. And one of the things I loved as a kid was raking up leaves and jumping into big piles of leaves. Don't know if you've ever done that, but it was my favorite things to do. Along my healing journey, I was walking along a beach with a friend one day and there were so many leaves, we decided to gather them all up in a huge big pile and jump in it. I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to actually fall backwards in these leaves? Well, what did I do? I did it. And then what happened? Well, my body's bigger, taller than it was when I was a kid. So I had further to fall and more weight to impact the ground. Because the leaves, they didn't really hold much. So I literally went flump, straight through those leaves, straight onto the ground, and I re-injured myself. And it took me a little while, but before I knew it, I started going, well, wait a second. Well, that might have been a stupid thing to do. I realized I had grown so much in the trust of my body to even let myself fall backwards. There was a time when I wouldn't have even played in the leaves. There's no way. So while it did, extend part of my physical journey, the trust within me and the trust within my body, I was gaining back. And that was crucial. So for me, understanding there's times where I'm going to trust something and I'm going to try it. It's not necessarily going to hit the mark, right? It might seemingly put me back in some areas, but how has it propelled me forward in others? And in that example, for me, it was redeveloping trust in my own body. And next thing was really receiving. And this was something that I've spoken about many times, but when it came to, this is going out to my partnership, learning to receive was so crucial for me to attract in my beautiful husband. Learning to receive from others, letting other people open doors for me, realizing that I often took up more space and was more comfortable in the giving and not in the receiving. That for me is a real true aspect for me of my blueprint for success. If I'm trying to go so much about it on my own, that I know that I'm actually halting or delaying my leap. So learning to receive. And the last thing is looking back at both of these examples in my life, the partnership and the health journey, I have sat in great discomfort in both of them because we all know that change can be very uncomfortable. Even the exciting change, there's going to be these moments of huge tension where you're like, why am I putting myself through this, right? And it's easy to forget that you've sat in discomfort. When I remember how uncomfortable it felt to let other people open doors for me, buy things for me, when I didn't want to feel that way at all, I can go, wow, like I can sit with discomfort because I've done it. I told you when I was doing my fascia release, I literally had to take off my top. I had to take off my bra. I had to spend an entire hour, my boobs hanging out, lying on the floor, doing these different myofascia releases with my upper body to heal my lower body to heal my upper body, and go and until I broke into a huge sweat. Talk about uncomfortable. I mean, I am bawling in front of this practitioner because that's what the Maya release was meant to do, to shift patternings. But I'm also half naked with my two boobs hanging to both sides. Right? I've done discomfort. And I can look at some of my own key parts of my own blueprint and go, damn, Cindy, this is what you need to do. Feel the feels, the excitement and the fear of this new leap. Feel it. That's your access point. Seek support. Remind yourself of, and stay open to who's going to come in and show up in your life to help you along the way. Keep redefining your own identity as the person who's on the other side of it. And if that feels too big, just identify as just your one little step closer. Celebrate those small wins all the time. Let yourself receive, Cindy. Let yourself receive. And yes, you can do hard things because you have sat in discomfort and you've been through it. See, me even saying this right now to all of you, I'm like, dang, I'm really good at change. Bring it on. This is happening. And I want you to feel this way for yourself. So once again, I'm going to ask you, don't rush off from this podcast, right? This is meant for you to reflect. That's how we come back to our souls. That's where your wisdom is. And that's what leads you forward to take big leaps into your next sassy adventure and life. As always, it is such an honor and pleasure to be with you. Rock out the rest of the day, and I can't wait to see you in our next episode. If this episode landed for you, I would love for you to share it, review it, or send it forward to another woman who is ready for her next leap. Let's remind each other, we are never starting from scratch. We are rising from our own wisdom. Remember, you are more powerful than you know. So live with sass and lead from your soul, and I will see you next time.